been our guest before, we try to regularly host and invite the international community to join us for meetings and for discussions to learn more about the city and about Frankfurt and what makes Frankfurt attractive and interesting. As always in digital times, when we meet in digital format, we will be recording our session. So if you do not want to be recorded, please use the function that you can turn off your video if you want to. Otherwise, I, of course, enjoy to see everybody. And maybe it'll make our discussion a little bit more lively if you join with video. You should just be aware that we are recording the session, which we may be using for social media purposes and so on, or for people to join who haven't had the chance to join us live tonight. Thank you very much for joining again. Welcome to International Stammtisch. We have a very special guest tonight, and we've got a very interesting subject tonight, which many of you, I myself was not aware that we have a very special partnership which falls out of the normal pattern of our international partnerships with Frankfurt. And I'm very happy to have Charly Steinmaier from the city of Granada here, Granada in Nicaragua. And we will talk and learn much more about this city partnership, which Charly leads for us in our little discussion, in our little dialogue. I'm also very happy to have Katrin Stelzer from Stadt Frankfurt with us. And Katrin and her team helped us to organize the session today. So Katrin, up to you for a little introduction and some short words. Thank you for joining.
Yes, also from the side of City of Frankfurt, we would like to thank anybody who joined us this evening and wanted to learn more about city twinning, which is a little bit different than all other twin cities we have in Frankfurt. As you know, we have 17 twin cities for continents, and Granada in Nicaragua is one of the twin cities we have had for a long time relationship right now. In fact, we are celebrating our 30-year anniversary in twinning this year, actually. And during all the time we had the city twinning, people from the civil side played a big role in this city twinning, and Charly Steinmaier is one of them. He has been living in Granada for a very long time. He is very familiar with the local population, and yeah, I'm very happy that he wanted to tell us a little bit more about how it is to live as an expat in a country where you have a different situation than in Western Europe, actually. And I'm also very interested in hearing about his experience and yeah, about the life in Nicaragua, actually.
Thank you, Katrin, and thank you, Katrin, once again for making our session possible today. Charly, welcome to our International Stammtisch tonight. And first of all, I think we must disappoint our audience already. You are not joining from Nicaragua tonight.
Yes, good evening, everybody. And first, my English is not so very well, but I'm trying to do my best this evening. I'm not in Granada, actually. This has to do with my familiar situation. My mother died in October, and I went out from Nicaragua during the pandemic situation with a very adventure flight over Costa Rica, and I came here to Germany in 1st of November. My father is also a little bit sick, and so I have to take care of him for 3 months. And finally, I had a flight back to Granada or to Nicaragua on February, but I had to do a shoulder surgery. And so my stay here in Germany is a little bit longer. So my flight back is now programmed for 8th of April. So.
Very good. And Charly, given the challenges you have right now and the very special situation, even more, thank you for making this possible tonight. You do live, however, in Nicaragua. That means over the last 30 years plus, you've been living in Nicaragua. Tell us more about your life there in Nicaragua. What are you doing in Nicaragua?
Well, let me go a little bit more behind of my stay in Nicaragua. It's started my relationship with Nicaragua starts with the revolution in what we had to have in Nicaragua in 79, and in the 80s, in the beginning of the 80s, I was one of the leaders of the youth leaders in the union at that time. I came to Nicaragua with a film. We stayed in Berlin. We saw that film. This film is called Insurrection. In German, Der Aufstand. In English, the Insurrection. And so it is a little documentary movie with documentary parts. And so I came to Nicaragua with this film, and I was one of the first founders of solidarity groups in the unions with Nicaragua. I formed 4 or 5 groups, and we spent money for different projects. And you hear it also in my English. I'm not from Frankfurt. I'm coming from the Southwest region. I'm a Schwabe. So this is also, you hear in my dialect. I passed in 84, I think so. I went to living in Hessen. And in 86, there was a group of young people from the union in Frankfurt, and they looked to form, at that time we called it a worker brigade, to stay in Granada for work for 4 weeks and to help to build a paper factory in Granada. So this was my beginning with go to Nicaragua, stay in Nicaragua, first in April 87 for 4 weeks. So my first relationship directly with the people, and at that time it was very, very special in Granada. Some people who know Granada, Granada is one of the oldest or the oldest city founded by the Spain in 1854, in 1524. So we are going for 500 years in 2024, and it's a city with 100,000 inhabitants. When I came in 87, and you have to know, it was a special experience for me. When we walked at 9 o'clock in the street at night, there were no cars in the streets, no cars parking in the streets, all dark. And sometimes when people visiting me, I tell them this story and they cannot believe it. The grass grows in the streets at that time. This is 30 years ago now, or 32 years. And it's completely different like today. Granada is one of the nicest cities in the whole area. And so I went to Granada first time with this brigade from Frankfurt to work 4 weeks in Granada to build this paper factory. And when I stayed there these 4 weeks, I decided to come back. And since November 87, I'm living in Granada. And first, the idea was to fix this fabric, to restore this fabric. And initially, it was a plan for 2 years, and from 2 years to 4 years, 6 years. So we finished this factory in 93, a long time ago. And after my first weeks in Granada, I had a lot of contacts with families in Frankfurt. They formed other brigades, and I lived in Granada, and so I tried to organize these brigades. And the people didn't live in hotels; they lived in families, and so I had I had to organize this, and I had a lots of contacts with the families. Also in Frankfurt at that time, we're talking about 86, 87, there was a movement of persons, not only from the brigade, also other persons visiting Granada. And the first people which were very interested was a group which had to have contacts with the hospital in Granada. It was a very, it's completely different like here. It was a hospital, a big part of the hospital have been, for example, the surgery rooms. They worked in tents, not in houses. They had a few tents where they made the surgeries. Yeah, and a group of people from Frankfurt made the first contacts, and this was the beginning of a process to look for a city friendship with this city of Granada. At that time, in the end of the 80s, the government in Frankfurt changed. It was the government of the Green Party and the Social Democrats. And so the base was good to have a mayory for this special city friendship, which was completely different than the city friendships which had Frankfurt at that time. And so when first were the people from the association, I see that Reinhold Dallendorfer, one of the presidents of the association Frankfurt Granada, is also in our meeting. And they asked me if I can work like a coordinator and make the contacts for them. This was the beginning of my relationship with the city friendship with Frankfurt and Granada. This was we're talking about 1989.
Thanks so much. I think very good insight to learn about how you came to Nicaragua and how you started in Granada. Obviously, out of the 4 weeks, that has turned into a lifelong journey and friendship and staying there. And we've just learned from you that obviously some local party movements and organizations from Frankfurt touched contact with Nicaragua at that time, obviously also for some exchange programs, as far as I understand, for certain projects and for certain subjects. How did all of this lead to something like a formal friendship? I understand it's not the partnership like the other big cities which we have city partnership with, but how did it develop into what we celebrate today, the 30 years of partnership with Granada? How did that actually happen in those days? How did that happen?
Well, it has to do with the general movement what we had with Nicaragua at that time. It was not only Frankfurt. There were lots of groups, of solidarity groups. They went in solidarity with the movement what we had with the revolution in Nicaragua. Today, during the 30 years we have, the groups, well, it's normal. The groups left, and the only groups which still are remaining are the city friendships. We have about 30 city friendships, I think so, with Nicaragua. And in this beginning, it had to have to do with this big movement we had to have with Nicaragua. Not only it was not only the a real city friendship which we have, for example, with Toronto, or this is a completely different beginning of a relationship we had at that time. There were lots of people which thought that we had to have to do something to stay in contact with these people, to learn also from these people there in Nicaragua. And so they had to have to make it formal. They had to have to do it in Frankfurt. So the signs were good at that time because there was a change of the government, and then they made how you call it in English? Yeah, they made
contracts, or
yeah, not only the contract. They made first a solution, and they had to have, the parliament had to have to take a decision. So and it was in 30 years ago now, because we are this year in the anniversary, and they made it officially in Frankfurt, and the group, the association of this city friendship between Frankfurt and Granada, which started in '89, they worked hard to make the contracts, and finally it was on 14 of January '91 when a delegation from Frankfurt went to Granada. It was not the mayor at that time. The mayor was Volker Hauf, and his vice mayor or head of the delegation at that time was Andreas von Schöler, and he had to have to do the act, and with the mayor of Granada to sign officially the contract between the two cities. And so, it's also something very special in what is special for this city friendship and the contract what we did at that time, because in the contract both cities, and especially the city of Frankfurt, signed in the contract that they will perform and support projects with the city friendship for the poor families in the city of Granada. The original papers in the library of the city of Frankfurt, and you can see this original paper. This is different to other city friendship, I think so.
So we understand that a delegation came from Frankfurt to sign the contracts. So there must have been some decision-making processes and some ideas behind that. Charly, if I understood that right, Nicaragua also tried for various city partnerships with other cities around the world, or was it majorly driven by Frankfurt on the other side? Who was the driver of this partnership?
Well, you have to know, in Granada have also other city friendships with other cities, especially a very special relationship with Granada in Spain. This is one of the first relationships of city friendships which have Granada in Nicaragua, but also with some other cities in one of the states. But at that time, when we formed in '91 the friendship, the city friendship, the other city friendships with Granada, they slept. There was nothing intact. So it was very there. It had to have to do with the movement in Europe, and especially in Germany, which is something very special. And also in our history in Germany, it was one of the first times that so a big and huge groups did something and supported projects in a country which lots of people don't know where it is, in what part of the world it is. Yes.
Thanks, Charlie. I think we are learning and understanding more about how that developed, some good insights into how the history of our city partnership is. Let's talk about the ongoing relationships since then. That means over the last 30 years, there has been an ongoing partnership. How are contacts and how do we keep contact with each other over the 30 years? That means how is communication and how are regular things going on?
Well, you have to know this city friendship, we spent about 2 million euros to different projects in the last 30 years. And this is not an economical partner behind this. This were all supported by persons which gave money for some projects. And I think it's a huge, it's a very big, it's a lot of money, I try to say. Yeah. And when we started, there was at the time 30 years ago, we had so many projects, there was so many to do because the country was so poor at that time. And we tried always to look for projects in which the population and the benefits population work together with us in the projects. So we tried to do development, not only to forgive the money and let build something. We always, there was one part in our contracts that the beneficiated population have to do something also. I tried to explain it for you a little bit, how we did it in one of our biggest projects. It was a water project, and it starts in 2004. It was a project which we realized and which we started not in the center of Granada. We started it in 10 kilometers away from Granada, and three little communities which had problems with the water system. 3 communities in an area, I think about 15 square kilometers or 20 square kilometers. And these 3 communities had a water system which was unusual. It had 20 years, and the pipes were broken, and they didn't have water only sometimes for 1 hour a day, and they had to take the water from large distances. And we got this project on our tables, and we saw it, we studied it, we talked with the people, we visited the area, and we started with this project, but this project was very, very far away from our what we can financiate with our funds, which we have from the city or from our own funds from the association. So we took into the boat the Ministry of, I always forget the names. It's the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation, the BMZ, and we made we got a co-financiation from the state, from Germany, from this ministry, and it was about 260,000 euro, the cost of this project. But the part which had to do the population, they had to dig the how you call it, for the pipes, to put the pipes. They have to dig. And when we started in 2005, and at 1st of May 2005, we started the big project. We had about 3,000 persons. I have pictures. Sorry, we cannot show the pictures, but about 3,000 persons at 6 o'clock in the morning digging the holes for the pipes, to put the pipes in. And this was, at that time, for the ministry, everybody had to sign, because we had to have something to prove, approvement. And so everybody signed that he digged for his project. And this was one of the parts what we made in all of our projects, that the benefits population had to participate in the project.
So I think it's a lovely idea and a great way to get funds if you ask the population to participate. So I understand it was not only one giving part, but it was also people had to participate and had to show their own work in order to get money for the project. So I think that's a very good way of funding money. On the other side, on the German side, this was not city or government money only, but there were probably many private donations as well. Are you aware of how the funding worked on the Frankfurt side?
Well, in the contract of the city friendship, we have there is written the part of Frankfurt what they will do. Actually, the city of Frankfurt have in their yearly how you call it,
budget or household
budget, there are 31,000 euro for these projects. And with bigger projects, we did it 4 or 5 times. We couldn't handle it with the money from Frankfurt, and also with the own money from the associations. So for example, in this water projects, we got the co-financing of the ministry, and also another association. This is my own founded association, which also participated with money from funds from their members. And we participated also in this project. There was 5 organizations in the project of this big water project.
Okay.
Another,
still what I saw from your website and from your work is that there is an eingetragener Verein, that there is an association behind it. So it's not only government or municipality city money, but it's a mix of different fundings which you are looking at. Is that correct?
Yes. In this special case of this city friendship, it's so that the former of this city friendship was the association Frankfurt Granada, and also still all our projects we are forming these projects in Granada together with the association in Frankfurt, and these projects we give to the office in the city, and the office in the city finally have to decide for what project they use the money. But in the past, always who can decide it more than somebody who is living and who is working together with the people. And so I think the city of Frankfurt also is very happy that this constellation is working on this part. And the experience of the last 30 years shows us that the money which we are spending is used directly in the projects. And this is one of our favors which we are doing. Also in the package of all other organizations which are working on development. sometimes the costs of administrations are a lot higher than the part which still finally is coming to the project. So in our case, we always looked to this part, that the parts of administration will be very close, very small. Yeah, so.
Charly, I think again some great learnings in our discussion. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the way how you select the projects. That means obviously it is great to have you in Granada, so you can personally have a view, understand how the projects work. If I got it right, the Verein also works on selecting and choosing, and then you suggest it to the city of Frankfurt, or how does that work?
Well, you have to know, when you live there, every day and every time there are coming people, and there are lots of needs. Yeah, and so the needs are overpassing. So we had to have there's especially that also we have a lots of catastrophic weather catastrophics, climate catastrophics.
Yeah.
And so in every time it's a new, you can say it's a barrel without fun, without how you call it, Boden ground.
Yeah. Without a ground. No, understood.
Yeah.
I think within the last years, one of the biggest catastrophes was obviously the hurricane. So there were many aftermaths and destroys where you had to choose and help, and where funding went into. So I think if our audience, if the members of International Stammtisch want to see and want to learn some more about your project, you have a great website, and I'll put the link to the website into our chat so that people can have a look at some of the projects of your work. I'm also glad I can see Reinhold, who has joined us, who is part of the Verein. I can also see a couple of members from the city of Frankfurt. I can see Petra, who's, I think, since early days worked on city partnerships and so on. So a very interesting group of people tonight. And if Charly, if you are fine, perhaps for a couple of moments, I just ask whether there are questions from our audience, from the chat. Otherwise, we can dig deeper into any of the other subjects. But I'm asking if anybody from our guests and visitors has a specific question to Charly, the city, or to Reinhold, if there are any questions about the work you are doing so very, very brilliantly. Any questions from our participants tonight? Any remarks or any questions? Please remember that we have switched off your microphone, so you'd have to activate your microphone in the bottom corner in my screens on the left side. I suppose it's everywhere on the left side if you want to ask something or if you want to comment on what we heard from Charly so far. Any questions? Any comments? Again, I saw many people joining us who are very close to the projects and very close to the city partnership we have here.
Well, that's me, Maria, speaking. I'm the first time joining that group of the International Stammtisch, and yeah, I'm very happy because we are also so separated in that pandemic times. So I'm happy to join some other people tonight. And I would like to know, so in which projects you are actually working in Nicaragua, and is there so is there a special or how did the pandemic affect your projects, or what is about life in this pandemic times yeah, in Nicaragua, and the ongoing of your projects, of your actual working projects?
Maria, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to our International Stammtisch. Please keep on coming. And Charly, I think this is a very good question. We talked about history. We talked some about the projects which were in the past, but Maria is right. What about recent projects, and what about the current situation in times of COVID?
Well, one of our most important projects, and one of the projects we are supporting during the whole time, is a little school. It's in Spain, it's called preescolar. This is a school, a combination of school and kindergarten. Our system in Nicaragua is different. So we are, the kids are going to this, we call it before school, kindergarten, from the age of 3 to 6. They are in this school, and the third year, they are 3 years, and the third year forms part of the national education system. It means the third year of the kindergarten is really part of the national system. So this school we built with funds of our city friendship in the age 1993. Since that time, we are supporting the school. We supported the school with some constructions. You know, every 10 years you have to fix the roof, or you have to make something. School is different than a private house. So we always supported the school with different projects. We trained the teachers, and have to do otherwise with me because I have a hardly handicapped daughter. She is now 22 years old, and when she was 3 years old, she went to this school because the teachers phoned me and said, bring her to our school so we will take care of her here. And this was the beginning of inclusion system at this school. We're talking about 17 years ago or more. And so in the year 2014, we made the first project of a pilot project in Nicaragua for handicapped persons in school center with inclusion. So it was also one of our projects what we co-financed and what we worked together with the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation. And we had also the visit in 2016 of the Vice Minister of this ministry at the school. And we're still working with this school. The pandemic situation, this have to do also with the schools in Nicaragua. It's not so affecting us like in Germany. I told you initially I had a very adventurous flight out from Nicaragua. This had to do that since April last year there are no flights to Nicaragua, and there are no tourists. And the tourism is one of the most important entrances in Nicaragua, and a big part of the peoples are living from the tourism. So I have a little restaurant there, and we have no clients. We have to close it for several times. And so the situation is we are in Nicaragua actually like in a small island, because the borders have been closed for a long time. We had no flights, and so maybe this have to do that we don't have a lot of cases. Otherwise, they are testing a lot of, because we don't have tests. So so this is the situation. One part of the situation, you cannot handle it because there are no official dates. But one of our actually projects is have to do also with the pandemic situation. We're working since 2003 in the area of catastrophics and emergency, and especially with the fire department. We are supporting the local fire department, and at that time we are preparing another truck for the fire department and another container, and in this container we have a huge compartment of masks and of protection against the pandemic situation against the COVID, and to support especially the rescue organizations which have to do and which have to work without masks. It's not the same thing like here that everybody is using masks. We have not enough masks. We have not enough protection suits, and so we hope that with this container we have about, I don't know, it's a huge compartment which we are sending in end of this month to Granada.
Great. And talking about the fire brigades, if I've just put in the link for your website, and on the website there's another link to certain videos. So there was a very nice video feature about the fire brigade and some common efforts between Frankfurt and the city of Granada there. So if I'm inviting our guests, if you want to have a look, there's a very nice, it is in German, a very nice video on some work which the fire brigades have done together. Maria, I think we had a quick insight into more recent projects, and we got some learning about the COVID situation. I can see two more questions from the chat, Charlie, which have more to do with the political situation and the government situation in Nicaragua. And the question here is more from a mentality view. That means, how do you deal with the general mentality in Granada? What is different, perhaps? What are things which you need to probably approach a little bit different? And the other one is about how do you work, and how have the consistently changing political conditions and regulations in Nicaragua, how has that affected your work? So it's a little bit more about mentality and the surrounding you work in. Charlie, is that something where we should just deep dive in for a moment, please?
Yes, this have to do very especially with my person. And you initially explained that I'm living there now 33 years. I went to Nicaragua for some ideals, and I had lots of relationship with people, with the party, with the movement. So I cannot compare me with others persons which are working in development organizations or something. When we're talking, yeah, let me start here. I initially said also I'm coming from the southwest region of Germany. I'm a Schwabe. The Schwabe.
We still like you. We still like you.
Yeah,
don't worry.
But we are very special in this thing. We are very correct. And so this is what sometimes I'm living now 33 years there, and sometimes people ask me how you can support this, because these people they cannot plan, they cannot make plans, they cannot look in the they cannot plan something. So sometimes I'm a person, I'm very exactly, when I'm working technically, it has to be exactly. And these people, from their mentality, they are completely different. And so this is sometimes it's very, very hard for me, because they coming late, they saying, oh, let's do it tomorrow. And it's very hard to realize the projects sometimes at time, because our German organizations, they're working like we are expecting it. It have to be finished at time. And so sometimes it's not, it works. It have to do a lot with mentality. It have to do a lot also with climate, for example. Yeah, sometimes when it's raining, the children don't go to school. You cannot believe it, because if it's raining here in Germany and you say the kids are not coming to school, it's impossible to think about it. But in Nicaragua, it's not when it's raining, it's raining. It's different also, but they don't go to school. So sometimes from our 200 children we have in the kindergarten, in this special school in the Coro de Angeles, it's called. So sometimes when it's raining, only 20 coming from the 200. So this is something what I try to explain of the different mentalities. Sometimes it's very, very hard.
But
so
you still love the place. I'm very sure.
Yeah, it is. I'm living there because I love it. Yeah. So this are the two parts. The political situation is another question. This is also a little bit different because it's my personally situation, and I'm representing the city friendship in Granada, and so I know it's true that the government actually is made some laws. They are against organizations, foreign associations working in Nicaragua, and they make it a little bit difficult to work there. I don't have these problems because it has to do with my personal situation. Yeah. This is what I can say about this. I know that other people have problems actually, and I'm not afraid about it. But in Granada, I don't have these problems, and it has to do with my person, with my person and my statement there.
Any other questions from any other of our guests? Thank you for sharing, Daniela, Katrin, thank you, very helpful. And Maria, I think we got some good answers as well. Charly, perhaps moving to one subject which I want to use always when we talk. What are things which we here in Frankfurt or our friends and guests here from International Stammtisch can do? What are activities we should join? What are things which we as persons and individuals could do for your projects and for your work?
Well, it's often I have contact with people from Frankfurt also coming to Nicaragua, and they don't know nothing about this city friendship. So I think we have to make it more obviously. Now we have some plans now in the 30th anniversary. Maybe we are planning to do a painting in the city of Frankfurt for the 30th anniversary, and maybe this helps also to bring this city in the head of the inhabitants of Frankfurt. And what we can do, somebody who is interested on projects, maybe Aroon, you can give some link for the homepage of the association.
Yes.
The association is actually, with the pandemic situation, the meetings are every first Monday in the every month, and in the last, I think on the last Monday of the month, 2 times a month they are meeting them. And you can look on the homepage, and if you are interested, you can look there and you can come in contact with your association and inform how you can participate or how you can support some projects. It's always, sometimes there are people also, they try to support one of our projects, especially one of these projects, and this is also possible. Yeah, when somebody, for example, like to support only the school, there is no problem. We can do it also.
Very good, and I have shared the link to the organization, so I'm inviting everybody to have a look. Charly, as you mentioned, whether you want to support a specific project or whether you want to generally get involved with the work of the Verein. The Verein is here in Germany, so you could join locally, or once we meet again, you could actually go and actually meet in person probably then.
Yeah, sure. It's in Frankfurt. Yeah. Excellent.
Very good. I think very insightful evening. We've learned a lot, and I think it was something quite new to many of our guests. To me personally, living here in Frankfurt, looking forward to that painting. So I'll get involved when it comes to painting, and I'm looking forward. Is it a mural or something you're planning somewhere?
Yes.
In Frankfurt or so? We have a very wonderful one from our partner city of Toronto at the station Messegelände, which is very beautiful. So probably you can look into further U-Bahn stations, or you can come up with some new idea. And I can imagine some very South American, totally different kind of art when it comes to your artist or something. Are you planning something with the local artist, or what is the background?
Yes, there is planned like a competition.
Good.
The plans are actually that 2 people from Frankfurt are going to Granada, and we make a little competition here in Frankfurt and also in Granada. And first 2 people from Granada are with 2 artists are visiting Granada and making some mural together with the artists of Granada. We have to look forward where we can do it in Granada and how, but actually we are planning this. And then after this, the idea is that the 2 artists from Granada are coming to Frankfurt, and together with the artists of Frankfurt, they are preparing a mural in Frankfurt. And it's also logical, there will be an inauguration of the mural, I think so, in maybe in September.
Yeah.
When we have better conditions, I think so.
No,
but maybe Reinhold is also in the chat room, so maybe he like to say something about this project we are planning to do. Actually,
you want to reveal something, Reinhold, or is it all secret at this point?
Okay, we are just in the beginning to plan it. We don't know exactly the place where to do it, and we have also to organize the financiation of that. It's in the early state of plan, so we have to find out in the next months. It also depends on the pandemic conditions. Journeys is difficult now, and so it's an early stage, but we are working in this.
No, and I'm not going to force you into any further statements at this point. It's just that it actually brings a new dimension to the partnership. It's not all about charity, but it could also be about art. It could be cultural exchange and so on. So I think a very, very nice new aspect to what a partnership can look like. Very nice.
Well, Aroon, there's also one thing which we realized in the past, and I think in the next future we will do it again. We made also journeys from citizens from Frankfurt to the city of Granada. We did it 3 times, and it was always very, very successfully, and so. Actually, the pandemic situation is very difficult to organize it, but we have it in the plans together with the city of Frankfurt to organize otherwise a Bürgerreise to the city of Granada. And it's one thing which have to do what we can do. This is also something we can know our city in Granada and know about some projects. Always in this journeys, we are going with the participations to our projects, and it's a nice idea also to know your city, your sister cities.
Absolutely. And we're back to Maria's question. That means, what are you recently doing and what is the future? So I think there are some good ideas, whether it's art, culture, or whether it's personal meeting and journeys, trips from one city to the other. A lot of things which I can imagine there. Excellent. Charly, Reinhold, thank you so much for taking the time. I think it was very insightful. We've learned a lot and some really great new ideas to know about a partnership, which from my perspective was very unusual when I heard from it first, but which makes so much sense and which is so heartwarming and so engaging when I hear about it right now. And I hope that we transported a little bit of the idea in our session today. Charly, thank you so much again for joining. Good luck with your family situation and good luck with getting back to Nicaragua when hopefully time is back and when flights are back and so on. It looks like April is your plan right now. So we cross our fingers that everything works well and that we can perhaps meet you again there. That would be probably a very nice idea.
Thank you for giving me the chance here to show you some inspiration of this city friendship, special city friendship with the city of Granada.
And you did very well, Charly. Thank you so much. Let me invite our audience for our next sessions. We have International Stammtisch, normally every first Monday of the month. The next first Monday of the month is Easter, so we will stop and not have a meeting on Easter Monday, obviously. But we are planning something wild, and let's see how it goes. At the moment, nobody knows how 1 week from the other things are changing. We still have our boat trip planned. That means we have a boat trip on March 15th with Primus Line, the local boat ship company here in Frankfurt, and I've seen that nearly 30 have signed up. There is enough space. These ships are very, very big, and we can make sure that we can meet any kind of hygiene standards, if at all we can meet. And we'll see within the next 10 days whether we'll keep up the invitation. And as I saw, 30 people have already signed up. We've got a couple of more seats if you want to be adventurous and sign up. We will make sure, however, that we can only make it if everything is really safe and everything is really fine. So next International Stammtisch is on the boat of Primus Line on March 15th, Monday, March 15th. And then in May, we will do something very special. We've got Bruder Paulus Terwitte from the Franziskus Treff in Frankfurt. So on the first Monday of May, that is the 3rd of May, we've got Bruder Paulus Terwitte joining us for a speech about his work in Franziskus Treff. So I think something very exciting and very interesting coming up. And you as International Stammtisch members should see as much as possible of different aspects of the city. And we're trying hard to transport those, giving you insights into some unusual areas. Thank you, Katrin and the team from the city of Frankfurt. Petra, thank you for joining. Good to see you. Always great to have these sessions on city partnerships. I really enjoyed Philadelphia, and I think I enjoyed it so much today that we'll look into perhaps doing another one with the one or the other city. So many more cities to learn. And thank you, Judith Georgi from Frankfurt School of Finance, for helping us with the technology tonight, for setting up the session tonight. Excellent work as always, Judith. You're wonderful. Thank you for helping us once again. Everybody, thank you for joining. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. And I hope to see you on one of our other International Stammtischs in future. Thank you very much and good night. Dankeschön und gute Nacht.
Thank you. Bye.
Dankeschön. Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht allerseits.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Secret. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tschüss, danke Charlie. Bye bye, good night.
Good night.
Okay. Charlie, hallo, weg.
Hallo, ich bin noch da.
Hallo, bye bye.
Bye.
Gott, his Fans hier, hat seine Fans hier. Perfekt.
Ja, ja. Ich
Wir freuen uns sehr.
hab schon in seinem Restaurant essen dürfen.
Nee, also
weil
ganz
jetzt
toll.
geschlossen ist. Schon lange her.
Schön, dass Sie die Gelegenheit wahrnehmen, heute dabei zu sein. Sie haben ja